It's 24 minutes past 7. Subbuteo was invented in Tunbridge Wells in 1946. How's that for a Friday fact? You do remember Subbuteo, don't you?
Here we are at the Subbuteo Stadium. Here come the teams. It's England versus Brazil.
Yep, it's the flicking football game that felt old in the 1980s and 90s. Players take alternate turns. The goalkeeper's at the end of a long stick, but there's probably a technical term for that. It's still going, and not just that. There is a World Cup, a Subbuteo World Cup, and it begins today in, Tunbridge Wells. Players are travelling from all over the world, Brazil, Japan, Australia, 300 in total already for flick-off. In a moment, we'll speak to the host of the Subbuteo World Cup. First, let's speak to England's under-16 captain, who's competing in Tunbridge Wells today. It's Ruby Matthews, who is 15. Ruby, good morning.
Good morning.
How are you feeling about the start of this World Cup?
I'm a bit nervous, but mostly excited.
And when did you get into Subbuteo, Ruby?
So when I was 7, my dad showed me the game, and I started playing and never stopped.
Do your mates do it as well?
No.
I think that's my favourite answer to a question on this programme for a long time. Because we often hear terrible things, Ruby, about how teenagers are just obsessed with TikTok and video games, but you're into something that people of an older vintage think of as quite old school. Why do you enjoy it so much?
I think it's quite tactical, and it's just something different, and it gets you away from the video games.
Yeah, I was going to say, what sort of skills do you need? How much of it is tactical? How much of it is about sort of actual skill with accuracy when it comes to your flicking?
I think there's always got to be skill to the game because of like the flicking, etc. But I think it's mainly tactical, similar to like snooker or chess. You need to know your opponent's next move and your next move.
And have you been in sort of training for the World Cup? I mean, has there been a regime where you've been putting aside a couple of hours a day to make sure your attacking game is on top form?
Yeah, so I've been doing shooting practice and playing more games at home, like just to prepare.
Okay, against your dad, but not your mates.
Yeah.
Yeah. How do you fancy your chances?
I'd like to say I can get out my group, and then after that, it's who knows. I think there is a group of us, and we can all compete with each other. It just depends who plays best on the day. All
right, well, Ruby, very, very best of luck with it. I hope it goes well for you, and you do indeed bring Subbuteo football home. Let's turn to Stewart Grant, who is the host of Subbuteo's World Cup. Stewart, good morning.
Good morning, how you doing?
Good. I'm trying to work out this morning how this marvellous game, which some of us had receded from memory for, shall we say, how it survived the onslaught of the internet, smartphones and social media.
I think it's just passion. It's people's passion that's kept it going over all these years. I mean, you can sit at a computer and you can play FIFA and Football Manager, but when you get down to it, there's something about standing with someone and playing a game with someone and having that real human interaction. And I think there was a period, wasn't there, during lockdown where everyone got bored and couldn't go out and got into their lofts. And it was like, oh, I remember this. And they brought it down and they played it with their kids. And since then, it's continued to have a resurgence with, I mean, we've done some great work at the ESA in pushing the game because all we want to do is play it and make it bigger. And since then, people have come on board, played at tournaments. I mean, just to give an example, at this World Cup, it's the first time we've been represented in all categories. And that means we've got loads of youth players playing as well. So we've got under 12s, under 16s, under 20s. We've even got a women's category, which we've managed to fill as well.
And it's quite well managed, Stuart, isn't it? I was watching 3 o'clock this morning. I was obviously watching huge amounts of Subbuteo on YouTube, which is not something I expected to be doing. But it's very well managed. People take it in turns. There's a little flick, and then you sort of let your opponent go. It's a very sort of polite interaction, isn't it?
Well, if you play what we call old rules, yes, but the game's actually evolved, and it's a lot faster than you think. So you don't actually have to wait for your opponent to make their move. So the competition that's going on Saturday and Sunday will be played at a ferocious pace. And to the average player like myself, I mean, I'm not that good. I can't play that well. But to the average player, if I was to play Ruby, for example, she would score in 10 seconds because I just can't keep up with the pace they play at. It's a very fast, ferocious game. And I think Ruby, when she was talking, hit the nail on the head. You have to think 2 moves ahead of what your opponent's doing. But the speed at which these guys do it is unbelievable.
Well, there's plenty of it on YouTube and I'm sure elsewhere as well on social media. Stewart Grant, host of the Subbuteo World Cup in Tunbridge Wells, which begins today. Thank you. And again, good luck to Ruby Matthews, who's going to bring it home.
29 minutes.